Hey guys, what's up? This is SonicSol here, and I just wanted to talk about some of the main mechanics in Sam Show 7. I'm very interested in Samurai Shodown, and I've been playing a little bit of it on my stream as of late. If you definitely want to be interested in getting into Sam Show 7, I would recommend picking up Sam Show 5 Special on PSN or playing it on Fightcade. So this video is just meant for if you want to get yourself ready for Sam Show 7 when it comes out June 27th. And this is just going to give you a basic detail of what the game has to offer in terms of its mechanics and what properties are in the game. So I'm just going to explain that now. So Samurai Shodown 7 is basically like a neutral heavy game. There's not much in terms of combos you're going to be doing in the game. You're mostly going to be doing neutral, and then when you get in, you'll probably do like one mix-up before returning back to neutral. This game is all about the slow-paced neutral game. It can get fast, but ultimately, one mistake can cost you a lot of health. Games are usually played very slow and meticulous, and it also depends on the character. Sam Show, it's not like it's super heavy mix-up pressure combo stuff like in Dragon Ball FighterZ, Marvel, and it's not like Street Fighter V where it's very rushdown oriented, one hit in the neutral and then automatically you're on top of your opponent. It's very like slow-paced. One hit does like 40%. So that's just the way Sam Show is. So if you're getting into this game, just note that it's very slow paced. So Samurai Shodown is a 4-button fighter. It's basically got 4 buttons that in combination has a lot of different features. So you have your light attack, which is tied to square. That is the A button. Your B button is your medium attack, which is your triangle button. Your C attack is your heavy attack, is your heavy slash, that's on your circle button. And your kick attack, or the X button, is your D attack. Now movement in this game, when you move forward, like if you dash forward, it's not like a forward hop forward or anything. It's actually a full run. So if you double tap forward, your character will run forward, and then they will do a brief stop. If you want to move back, then your character will actually hop back, so it'll be a small back dash. This backdash is actually invincible for a few frames. On the later frames, however, it is not invincible. So it's only invincible on the first few frames. Now, in order to get up, if you get knocked down, you could do forward or backwards, and your character will roll on the ground in the direction that you had pressed. Now, in this game, you can actually be disarmed, or you can choose to drop your weapon. In order to drop your weapon and disarm yourself, you can press down, B, C, D. Note that while you're disarmed, when you block, you will take chip damage instead of no damage. And you no longer have access to any of your sword normals, obviously, or some of your special moves. However, you will have access to another move, which I'll talk about later. Now, wherever your weapon is, if you've lost your weapon and got it disarmed or you dropped it, you can pick your weapon back up when you're near your weapon with A. Now in Samurai Shodown 7, there's also Just Defend or instant blocking. You perform this by guarding your opponent's attack right before it hits your character. And if you do that, you can also perform a blowback or stance break. This is similar to King of Fighters, where if you instant block at the right time, you can press A+B together to stop the opponent's offense and blow them back, hence the word. So in order to perform a throw in Samurai Shodown 7, you just do forward, backwards, or neutral C+D. Now, throws are different in this game as opposed to other fighting games. In other fighting games, when you throw somebody, it goes into a canned animation and knocks them down. In Samurai Shodown 7, the characters will push the other person back a little bit. In that animation, you can input whatever move you want. So you throw somebody and you can go into, let's say, your heavy attack or C button. Or you could go into a special move like your Issen or your super move. So you're free to do whatever you want after you throw somebody. Lastly, throws in this game. Apparently, if 2 people throw at the same time, player 2 will always win the throw exchange. There is no throw teching in this game. This is confirmed by people that went to PAX and tried out the beta so far. So hopefully when the final game comes out, we'll know for sure whether or not there will truly be throw teching in the game. But as far as reports come from PAX, 2-player wins the throw exchange if both people throw at the same time. Now, even though throws can't be teched in SamShow 7, you can still avoid them by using your dodge by pressing A+B. In Samurai Shodown 7, there's also dodging, so you can actually dodge in place. You can make your character dodge in place by pressing A+B together. And this will look very similar to, like, let's say if you played Smash Brothers and you performed a spot dodge or dodging in place. It's the same thing. Samurai Shodown 4 also had this kind of dodge, so it's very similar to that regard. So in Samurai Shodown, you can also parry or deflect your opponent's slash attacks. To perform this, you do quarter circle forward or 2-3-6, A+B to parry your opponent's incoming slash attacks. Note, you cannot parry your opponent's kick attack or throw attack. And depending on what slash attack that you parried from your opponent, it will have some effect on the opponent. So if you parry their light attack, their A attack, they will have a small amount of hit stun. If you parry their medium attack, their B attack, they will have a little bit more hit stun. And if you parry their heavy attack, their C attack, then you will actually do a lot of hit stun and disarm the opponent. So you want to be wary of not being too predictable in front of your opponent and ending up getting your weapon disarmed for whatever reason. Now, while your weapon is disarmed, however, you do have access to a special kind of parry or deflect known as a blade catch. So while you're unarmed, you can input quarter circle forward, A+B, just like the regular parry, and you can actually catch your opponent's weapon. It'll go into a small animation and you will disarm the opponent. So again, you don't want to be as predictable, because then you could be put in a situation that might be favorable for your opponent so he can make a comeback. Now, to make a small segue into this little topic, I want to talk about recoils in Samurai Shodown. So a recoil is when you do a character's slash attack, and specific slash attacks, when blocked from the opponent, will cause your character to do a small recoil animation where they'll be reeled back a little bit. This animation can be special canceled or deflect counter cancelable. So this creates a lot of mind games in Samurai Shodown. What this means is that, let's say you do an attack and the opponent blocks it and you get put in this recoil animation. The opponent can also attack you with their slash attack, but you can cancel your recoil animation into a deflect and parry their slash attack. Now, if the opponent knows that you want to parry, then they can walk up and throw you, or they can attack you with a kick attack. In this case, you can cancel your recoil animation into a special attack and stop their approach. So this is a very huge mind game. If the opponent, who is on defense, reads you correctly, then they can get in. So you want to stop that by making sure you can predict the right thing that your opponent is trying to do and counter that. So this is very important in the Sam Show, and that's why I want to just take this small segue to explain that to you while talking also about the counter or deflect. Now, every character in the game has a universal overhead, which is called surprise attack, and you perform it by pressing B+C. Now remember that overhead attacks are attacks that cannot be blocked while crouching. You must stand block to block the overhead, otherwise you will get hit. Another thing that's interesting about Sam Show is the way that it handles trade situations. So when both you and your opponent's attack would collide on the same frame, then instead of both you and your opponent taking equal damage, you both would actually go into a clash animation, where both you and your opponent have to mash buttons. The person to mash the most buttons will win the clash and will disarm the loser. If both people get tied in this game, however, then they both will return to neutral. In prior Sam Show games, if both players would mash buttons and end up tying with one another, then their weapons would be disarmed. This will only happen one time in the match, so it won't happen often. Now let's talk about the big flashy attacks like the weapon flipping techniques and Issen, and how to do them, as well as what the rage meter is about. Now, not new to Sam Show at all, and basically just the main thing about Sam Show is the rage meter at the bottom. You build this rage meter at the bottom as you take damage over time in the match. Once this rage meter is filled, you get access to a plethora of buffs. you basically get enhanced moves. So for example, if you're playing a Charlotte and you do her projectile, instead of doing 1 hit, it will do 3 hits. Your character also gets a boost in attack power. And finally, they will get access to a move known as Weapon Flipping Technique, or WFT for short. You can perform a weapon flipping technique by inputting quarter circle forward or 236 B+C. And this can only be done while you are in full max rage or rage explosion. Now, weapon flipping technique is very unique for every character, but essentially every character's weapon flipping technique will disarm the opponent when they hit, and it'll do a chunk of damage. Now, with weapon flipping technique, it will actually not spend your rage meter until the attack connects on the opponent on hit. That means if they block it, you can do it again if you want, or you can just keep doing it, right? The only way it will spend your meter is if it touches the opponent. So that's good to know. I'll explain more about weapon flipping technique again when we talk about rage explosion next. Now, rage explosion is a very valuable asset in Samurai Shodown. To perform it, you press A+B+C together. What will happen is your character will perform a burst-like or combo breaker attack that will break the opponent's attack and push them back. Your character is also considered invincible when you do rage explosion during its startup. So that means that they can't really attack you. When you activate rage explosion, you could do it at any time. Essentially, this gets the opponent off of you. What will happen is that your rage meter will change to a timer, and that timer, the length of it, will be relative to how much life your character has remaining. So if your character has a good portion of life left, basically like 80% or whatever of health, then they're going to have a really small rage timer. Whereas if your character doesn't have as much health left, then that timer is going to be very, very big. So that rage timer is going to depend on the health of your character, and that will indicate how long you are in this rage explosion state. Now, while in rage explosion, your character will do even more damage than if they would in regular rage. So they do a crazy amount of damage. They get access to an infinite amount of weapon flipping techniques as long as that timer is up. They freeze the timer on top, so the timer counting down the match will actually be frozen until your timer is gone. And you also get your enhanced moves as well, as I explained before. You finally also get access to Issen, or Lightning Blade, a fast-moving, forward-advancing physical attack that is fully invincible. To perform this, you press A+B+C again, just like for activating Rage Explosion. Issen will also do damage relative to how much health you have left. So if you have a high amount of health, then you will not do as much damage. But if you don't have as much health left, then you can do as much as 80% to your opponent, possibly ending the round or even the match. As I explained before, if you do throw into Issen, you will actually not do as much damage. There is damage scaling. However, you can use that to your advantage. So if your opponent doesn't have as much health left, you can throw them and go into Issen and possibly kill them because they didn't decide to avoid your throw. Again, Rage Explosion can only be done once per match. Same with Issen. So, you only have one shot to do it. And most of the time, you're going to want to use Rage Explosion when you are about to lose the match, or if you're trying to close out the match. So really, you want to have good judgment when using Rage Explosion in Samurai Shodown, because it can definitely turn the tides, or even end you because you used it too early. So you really have to know when to use it. The last move we'll talk about is Super Special Move. So Super Special Moves are a unique cinematic super for every character that they get access to once a match. So basically they can perform this one-time super free of any resources once per match by inputting forward, half circle forward, C+D. And essentially you'll do this big flashy cinematic super and it'll do a lot of damage, but you only get it one time in the match. This super is only throw invincible, so you can't use it to just wake up with like an invincible DP, for instance, like in Street Fighter. If you use this attack, it would be best to use it to stuff out throws. it's only throw invincible. Some characters, like Charlotte for instance, can use their super special move to anti-air. So Charlotte has an anti-air super, or other characters might have a different kind of super special move that's usable for a particular situation. So it all depends on your character, but when it hits, it will do a lot of damage. So you want to pick the time to use this move as well, because you don't get it often. You only get it once every match. And that's pretty much it for some of the main mechanics in Samurai Shodown 7, as well as some breakdown of the properties on some of the moves in Samurai Shodown 7. Now, if you're interested in learning Samurai Shodown for this game, I suggest you pick up Samurai Shodown 5 Special on PSN or play it on Fightcade. Those are the two main ways. There's a lot of people that are still playing Samurai Shodown, and in the description down below, I'll leave a link to the Discord for the Samurai Shodown Discord, so you can get some games in. If you liked the video, definitely hit the thumbs up down below, and comment down below too. Let me know what character you're interested in, since you've made it this far into the video and you're interested. Also, subscribe, hit the red button so you know when I'm uploading another Sam Show video, or Street Fighter video, or Devil May Cry video, whichever or. And hit the notification bell so you know when it comes out. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from this. See you next video, and June 27th when Sam Show comes out.